Peace and welcome to After Cafe, where ideas take shape, thoughts find depth, and every conversation explores the art of thinking beyond the obvious. And today I have my special guest. He's a big for global strategies, decoding US China competition with wit and solutions, none other than Mr. Saji Madapat. Welcome on Abstract Essay, Mr. Saji. And can you please introduce more about yourself that I missed?
Thank you, Daniel. I really appreciate the opportunity to come back again to your platform. It's truly an honor to be in this platform. This time, I'll be covering my other side of the mythological side and my cultural aspect of the book, more than the business. So, at a high level, my background, I'm an industrial engineer, then did my MBA in finance. I came here as the product of the biggest business blunder in the business history during the Y2K times as a cyber coolie. After coming here, and I spent 3 decades since late 1990s onwards. I spent with some of the largest corporations in the world. And my the first book, The Gods Must Be Crazy, was based on out of that one. This one is based on more from the cultural or mythological background about looking at the world, and addressing finding some of the solutions. Once again, I really appreciate the opportunity, Daniel, and very much looking forward to this interview.
Mr. Saji Madapat, thank you so much for sharing your knowledge and wisdom to the world. Hoping for more and more empowering books like this to come. So, Mr. Saji, the title incredibly layered. Can you unpack the meaning behind the gods of the God's own country and the powerful phrase Mankitra prodigal son?
Um, yeah, I know it's a little bit a long title, and especially the the subtitle too. I'm coming from. I was born and brought up in southwestern side of India. India. Those who are familiar with India, you may know that we believe around 38,000 crore, millions of uh, gods in that part of the world. In especially the state I'm coming from, that state is known as the God's own country. There are several reasons for that one. In addition to the gods, this is the state where it is a tropical paradise. This is the state where the St. Thomas in 52 AD landed there. Some of us, around 8-12% of the population, people like me, some of us, we believe we are followers of St. Thomas. We landed in 52 AD. Later on, the Arabs came, Portuguese came, then the French came, and finally the Britishers came. They all came initially for spices, but especially the Britishers and the French, they decided it's cheaper to colonize the country, and along with us, the colonizers, they brought Christian missionaries also to that part of the world. So they opened the schools all around the state. This is a 100% literate state. And along with the literacy, they brought the communism is also to that part of the, let's say, byproduct of education. That is a state where first time the communists were democratically elected in the world history in 1954. It's a democratic version of communism. So, result, some of our gods are the Marx, Engels, and the Che. And if you go to the many houses, you can see we worship that kind of gods too. So, in short, this book is about the indigenous gods of that part of the world. Again, as I mentioned, the Kerala is known as the God's own country. So these are the native Aboriginal gods I'm referring to. There are about 800 different versions of the gods in that part of, and especially in that particular state, the Aboriginal gods. This book is this. I've been to around 18 countries around the world, with my mostly during for professional or volunteer reasons, but I always travel with my camera. I've been to around, as I mentioned, around 18 countries around the world. At the end of the day, I've never seen this beautiful. It's a tropical paradise that southwestern side of India. That's God's own country, and especially between November and May, June, that time frame, you can see the drumming sounds all around the world. And this is when around 800 of those goats assemble in an amazingly beautiful attire. As you can see from that. So the cover image of this there are about 400 different themes I covered. These goats I covered. And it's more of a pictorial book covered in the book. So this book is about the native, the aboriginal gods of the God's own country. And if you go to like in this part of the world, we go to pilgrimage. Many of us go to Jerusalem, where you can see the Jewish gods and the Christian gods and the Muslim gods. But if you visit my part of the world, in Kerala, the God's own country, you can see around 800 different gods assembling in a amazingly picturesque natural environment. I know they're performing some of these gods, and they perform 3 days continuous. It is hard to describe over text, and that's the reason I put the pictures. Even the pictures also don't do the full justice. I added some of my books. I added the QR codes. With the QR codes you can see the videos. Even the videos won't like I use in some of my latest books, and I'm using the Apple Vision Pro and that kind of technology to bring to bring the 3-dimensional or spatial feeling to this kind of Aboriginal worlds.
Mr. Saji, for those unfamiliar, what is Theon and why did you choose this specific intense spiritual practice as a center lens for your memoir?
The Theyan, the name derived from, according to the Hermann Gundert, he's from, I think, from Germany. He was also I believe he was a missionary, or the during the colonization period, they brought him over there. He was a scholar. He is the person come out with the dictionary between my languages. And the local language over there is Malayalam, one among the 2,000 languages in India. The name derived from the word Daiva, or Daivam derived to the Theyan. Daivam means the god. So these are the gods, the human gods incarnated in the humans incarnated in the god during the performance time, the native performance time, and they after the performance they go back to the humanistic form. And many of these gods are like the crucified gods, like Jesus. Like they are the victims, or they are the rebels against the system, the establishment. Many of them are crucified gods.
And tell us, the prodigal son narrative, in what way does your personal story mirror diverge from the classic prodigal son archetype?
That's a great question, Daniel. I, as I mentioned, I was born and brought up in that part of the world. I had, while I was there, even till around 4-5 years, I had very little idea about this kind of Aboriginal gods. I used to go and attend the performances, and then again since and I used to capture the images also. I had very little idea about why they are doing and what they are doing. And during the COVID time, I was especially during the lockdown period, and I was in Chicago. That is a time, like as you may remember, somewhere in mid 2020s, the whole, especially the downtown part of the Chicago, was completely boarded up, and there was even riots going on in that part of the world. The people with shooting were at least threatening to shoot with AK-47 during the COVID Floyd riot period. So this is the time I was not sure about another. As you may remember, there was no vaccination. There's no medicine at that time. So I was not some of my uh, uh, past colleagues, ex-colleagues from especially from the Northeast. They unfortunately they lost their life to to the COVID, and I myself was not sure how long I'm going to live, and then there was no and at that time I even lost my job also due to again the whole consulting industry was standing in front of everything was standing in front of us. So that uh, at the end of the day, so I thought, what the hell am I doing? I just turned 50, maybe a midlife crisis hit. It was amplified by the Floyd riots and, with the COVID. So I thought, let me make my facts straight, before I die, let me uh, look my history, my legacy, where I'm coming from, my roots. What the hell am I doing with my life? That let me explore my little bit about my past, and this was my midlife crisis amplified by the Floyd riot happening, at that time, and without any solution to the COVID, and without unemployed, without sure not sure about how long I'm going to live, without any financial meanings. And so that let me let me look my history back, and that prompted me to look into my own roots. That took me back to my home country where I was coming from, and yeah, that led me to exploring the amazing culture and an amazing initiative, which was completely unexplored. And I realized the more I looked into it, I realized many of these gods are rebel gods. They do not have any voice. If you go to the southern part of south of our border, especially the Mexican, the Mayan gods, and there are a lot of Aboriginal gods. They unfortunately no establishment, are there to promote that kind of. They tell their story. This is a 5,000-year-old. There is a 5,000-year-old history behind it. Many of them are coming from the Bronze Age, roots from the Welland So there is no. So I thought, let me before I die, let me tell some of their story. That was the nemesis of that helped me to come out with the very first version of the book.
Mr. Saji, on the personal and spiritual journey, the monkey trap metaphor was the baited trap that held you, and what was the process of finally opening your hand to be free?
That is a great question, Daniel. Um, some of you, I don't know if your audience, some of your audience are from the East Asian countries, especially the Thailand and the Vietnam, and I think many of those countries. The monkeys are a big problem, nuisance in that part of the world. So they typically what they do is they cut open the tender coconut, and inside the coconut they put some sweets or whichever monkey likes. So what they leave that kind of trap. It's in that part of the world to catch the monkey. So the monkey, with all the greediness, it know how to put the arm. When you put the arm, when you put this way, inside the coconut, it's a small opening to the small opening. But when if the monkey want to take back their hand because of the greediness, with all the stuff that they're grabbing, they can't take their arm out. So monkey don't know how to let their greediness go. And as a result, the monkey is stuck with the coconut. Monkey is stuck with the tender coconut, so it is, they can't run away with, the heavy coconut, they're stuck with it. And that's how they catch the monkey in that part of the world. The same way in this part of the world, again, as I mentioned, till around the COVID time, I was trapped in the very similar way. I was trapped in my own version of modern monkey trap in this part of the world. So as I mentioned, I was born and brought up in that part of the world. I had very little understanding about my own roots, my own culture. After coming here, like with all the Western education and with all the consulting work which I'm doing in some of the largest corporations in this part of the world, especially I've been to around, as I mentioned, around 18 different countries, and with some of those. Till recently, my client was the second largest alternative and private equity firm in the world, and was also with one of the biggest Big Four consulting firm. I've seen some of the ivory towers of the world, and I was, in a way, I was trapped in the fluffiness, or I'm caged in an ivory tower. I couldn't let it go. Some of those some of the traps. So this, especially the COVID, it exposed me, that more I study this kind of, the 5,000-year-old history and the traditions, it let me go some of, let me come out of my monkey trap. So in a way, I'm looking as a prodigal son, especially in this part of the world, as looking at my legacy, my own culture, my own history, and trying to let go some of those traps, the monkey traps, and let me, by studying, this kind of, by writing this book or analyzing the history. That is what I was trying to do through this book.
Mr. Saji, as an author, what are your short-term and long-term goals?
The short-term goals, I'm not a big believer, even though we're living in a very short-term, quarterly minded, or minded mentality, or again, in the Western, this part of the society, we are looking into that. Every election, 2-year election cycle, or every 4-year election cycle, or even the corporations wise, some of the consulting work which I do, primarily from a quarterly perspective. So I'm a big proponent of looking at a bigger picture, coming out with a long-term plan, 5-year plan or 10-year plan. So this is one of the key reasons I wrote this book, to first of all, study many of the solutions for our own problems, our own monkey traps, by looking at, we can let go some of those monkey traps by looking at our past, the history. Especially in an Indian kind of situation, it's around 5,000-year-old civilization. This part of the world, we can look at what is happening with what happened with the FDR or Theodore, or like 100 years ago. Many of the solutions already there. So these are some of our challenges, some of those problems. So we shouldn't look for a quick fixes. We need to look for a long-term the solution. We need to look at study our legacy and find our solution, not a quick fix, not a TikTok kind of, the cat dances or that kind of stuff. We need to study it from a long-term, this kind of, amazing history, amazing solutions, So my my as from that perspective, my the my objective is to let the listeners, the people, those who are listening to this platform, or let's look at our history, come out with a solution for some of our own challenges. Let our our monkey trap go, and let's help us to release us from the monkey traps, our own monkey traps. That's my objective, long term objective.
Mr. Saji, looking forward for your success and good luck to your goals. And what will be your advice for those people out there who want to be an author like you?
My advice, as I mentioned, look at your own ivory cages, especially in this part of the world. Many of us have very little understanding about what is happening around us. And I blame in a big way our own media. So they like we are living in the lack of a better word, the TikTok age, or we look at sound bites and the bullet points, and we make many of our decisions. We decide our own future based on some of those fluffs or the TikTok, and especially the newer generation. They are addicted to the TikTok. So versus look at our history. Many of the solutions for our today's problem is in our past. Look at study our history. This part of the world. Look at the farmers like or those who built this the foundations of capitalism, like the FDR and the Theodore Roosevelts, and by studying those things, we can let go our monkey trap. If we can release us, from our own ivory tower monkey trap, like we can come out with our own solutions, to address some of the challenges, the major challenges ahead of us, whether it is economical or especially in the AI age. So everything is changing right in front of us. Some of this, the mythologies, some of this, the gods, the aboriginal gods can give us the solution for our life, the profession, whether it is a personal or professional or life ahead of us.
Thank you, Mr. Saji, for your advice. And before we wrap up our discussion for today, I'm inviting you to please listen to my other podcast, people, my other podcast, because my abstract essay is already in fifth season, abstract poetry in second season, and my book 101 review in fifth season too. Comedy 101 in second season, and my food 101 in fifth season as well. Geography 101 in fourth season, and my baby podcast law 101 and mental health 101. Love letters in fourth season, and my movie 101 review and music 101 in fourth season, and science 101 and sex 101 in its first season. Please listen to them wherever you listen your podcast. So, Mr. Saji, after this profound journey of return, confession, and immersion, what is the most important truth you discovered about the nature of home, faith, and identity?
What throughout my journey, what I discovered, so especially in today's age, in the modern society we are living in, so the tribesman, and again covering on the first book, the gods must be crazy. So many of our solutions are, we can find the challenges the more today's age, especially the modern society in this part of the world, especially in the West. We are all after at the end of the day we are withdrawing to our own tribes. We may be wearing the fancy the coat and the suit, that kind of whatever the fancy dress we may be wearing. But we, at the end of the day, we are withdrawing to our own tribes. we are withdrawing, especially this is the era of anti or deglobalization. So we are pulling back to our own tribes or our own society or our own religion or our own system. We are shutting away from the rest of the world. We are living in our own ivory towers. So it is a high time to look at um, beyond our tribes, beyond how the society was formed, looking at our legacy, our own past history, that can the legacy, the Aboriginal, I just happened to pick the Aboriginal gods from where my roots are. The same way that they have, this kind of gods all around us, and especially if you go to Latin America, again, always, even in this part of the world, also, like in many of the Indian countries, in Aboriginal Indian places, you can see there are a lot of solutions. The solution is within us, as long as we look at our legacy, our past, some of these Aboriginal gods. There are a lot of many of these civilizations that we do have. Again, the Indian civilization where I'm coming from is 5,000-year-old civilization. So the solutions is as long as if you look at our history, the solution is behind in our own history. That solution is going to help us to guide us to next 5,000 years, rather than looking at the next quarter. So we need to look at the long-term solution rather than the quick fixes, rather than the quick TikTok, solutions.
Mr. Saji Madapat, thank you so much for sharing your knowledge and wisdom to the world. So, can you please invite our listeners to support all your books?
Thank you, Daniel. It's truly an honor to be part of your platform again. Thank you.
So, where do people buy your book, Mr. Saji?
They can get this book is available, the book you're displaying and it is available in Amazon, it is available in Google, it is available in over 50 different platforms. This book is translated to about a dozen different languages. It is as an audio book, in the print and the digital and all kind of formats, and it is available in almost all platforms. Wherever you can get the books, it is available, and then it's in 12 plus languages in around 50 different platforms in 200 different countries. You can just search for the gods of God's own country or the Theya. You can see.
Yes, where the books are sold. Yes, people support Mr. Saji Madapat because if you support him, for sure, more and more empowering books like this to come. So, Mr. Saji,
May
thank
I
you
add
so
one more
much.
quick point?
Yes, go ahead.
And I'm donating the whatever the royalties I'm getting to these Theyan gods. These are the gods. These are the gods of the gods by the people and for the people, and these are some of the poorest Indians in that part of the world. Maybe in the globally, these are some of the poorest people in the world, and I donate all the charity royalties to this god, to the Theyan artists and associated thing. And my other books I donate to the mother missionaries of charity. So it is more of a self-actualization.
Okay, Mr. Saji, thank you so much. And more to come, people. See you soon.
Thank you very much. Appreciate it.